Hey, I'm Aaron Roche. I'm putting together a series called Sound Forage, where I explore interesting and unique and sometimes strange acoustic spaces. The first episode was recorded inside of a hollowed out redwood tree, and you can check that out below. But today I'm going to be talking about convolution reverbs. So I'm going to do a little bit of an overview here just on the plugin itself, how to use it, how to import your own impulse responses, as well as the ones that are available on the weirdfruitrecords.com website. So let's start with what is reverb, right? Reverb is the sound that makes you want to sing when you're in the shower. It's the reflections after a noise is made in a space. So in my room, for instance, I clap, and because it's a larger room, I'm hearing a little bit of a reflection off of the walls. You go into a cave and you get a long, drawn out echo as sound is bouncing around. The redwood tree, for instance, was a little bit more dampened, a little dry. It's a small space and it soaked in a lot of that, so it made it sort of a warm sounding tone. A convolution reverb, however, is a tool to capture acoustic spaces. So you'll get an impulse response or a sweep, but I'll use those terms interchangeably throughout this. I typically use a sweep response because it's just super easy to use with the Waves IR1. They give you a file to play back on the speakers and time your recording to so that it's always aligned really well. Basically what you do is you play this sweep that sounds like this. It's going through all of the frequencies, just moving up. And at the same time that you're recording, it's getting all of the reflections bouncing off the room and seeing how long each of those frequencies decays for in a space. Essentially, what makes the reverb is how sound decays over time. So let's start with a room. Then we'll drop in somebody singing. The sound coming from their voice reflects off of every surface. The size of the space, the shape of the objects, and the material that everything is made of determines how sound interacts before returning to the ears of the performer. So to capture the room, we'll remove the performer so that they're not making any noise. We'll put some speakers in the room. Then we'll move the microphone to a good listening position. Then we'll play our sweep response off of the speakers. The microphone will capture both the original signal as well as all the reflections. The convolution reverb compares the new recording to our source file and subtracts the source material by inverting the phase. What's left is only the reflections in the room. It analyzes those reflections to determine how each frequency decays and emulates it all within seconds. Why would you want to capture an acoustic space though? There's a million different reverb plugins that you could use, right? There's a really useful purpose for it in film recording. Say you're shooting in a parking garage and the dialogue performance that you get there isn't quite what you'd like. It doesn't sound as crisp and clean because it's really echoey, right? So you do some ADR, some re-recording of the dialogue in a studio. Now, if you take the studio dialogue and overlay it over the scene in the parking garage, it's not going to sound quite the same, right? Parking garage is big and echoey. But what you can do with an impulse response, if you captured it when you were shooting in the first place, is you can then use that reverb to make it sound more natural and like the actor is actually in the space that you filmed initially. But there are also just more fun, creative ways to use it because you can technically throw in any sound into this and see what it spits out. So let's get into it. How do we use this? So using the link below, we'll go to the Waves website and download the IR1 Convolution Reverb. There's also a library of spaces that they've sampled available on their website for free. After that, you're going to go over to weirdfruitrecords.com, click on Sound Forage, check out the video if you haven't had the chance, but scroll down right here and you can download the impulse responses that are available. I'll be updating this pretty regularly with some new sounds. Then we're going to go to our DAW of choice. Today we're using Pro Tools, and let's load up a guitar here. we're gonna go ahead and run it through the reverb with its stock setting here. I honestly use this stock setting almost every time I track because it's just a really sweet sounding tone, just to give the artist a little bit of something to listen to and make it feel less dry. So as I said, there's a huge library of sampled spaces that they'll give you for free, from amphitheaters, auditorium, ballrooms, car interiors, recording studios, all kinds of things. One of my favorites is the Todd A.O. scoring stage, and it's from the conductor's position. You can hear that here. It gives you some information here as well. The name of the file, the type, this is a scoring stage, the date that it was recorded, so this one is all the way back in 2003, the sample rate, the country, and then some more specific information about the reverb itself. The convolution, which is about how long the reverb actually lasts, the RT60, which is how long it takes for a sound to decay by 60 decibels, how many channels it was recorded with, whether that's mono or stereo, and then the size and the distance from the source that they used. So let's go ahead and load up one of our own impulse responses. To use something a little bit more obvious than a hollowed out redwood tree, I'll use one that I captured in an old church that I record drums in pretty often. Now, before I import the new impulse response, I actually want to default these settings because all of these controls here will stay as they are even with the new impulse response, and I want to have them kind of zeroed out. So we'll go up to this bar here, click on Import Sweep Response. Then I created a folder where I keep all of these files just in my bounces. Keep in mind, it will create a file right outside of wherever you're sourcing this from. So I've got this kind of too deep here, but we're going to start with St. Andrew's Stereo. And as you'll see, that tail decayed pretty quickly. Let's hear it on the guitar. Really kind of a big boomy tone. Let's throw in some vocals. Let's give her some reverb as well. So it really opens up the space. We're not quite done though. To save this setting, we have to go back up to this bar, hit Save As, and we'll call this St. Andrew's Church. And now we can pull that up easily in any other session without having to reload the impulse response every time. One thing that can be pretty cool about these reverbs is the anomalies that happen if you don't get a recording quite right or throw in a different type of file. Outside of the Fremont tree, I did an impulse response and it actually captured a lot of birds singing. And I thought at the time that it would completely ruin the take and it wouldn't be usable. But after throwing it in, it actually sounds like birds are sort of singing back. Very similar to the vibe that we captured that day. So here's an acoustic that Ian played outside of the tree. And you can hear those birds chirping in in the background, and the guitar sort of echoes through. But my girlfriend did not want me having birds flying around the studio, so we'll stick with the impulse response. Let's recreate it. We're going to go back here and import sweep response. Now this time I'm going to go outside Fremont Tree. Here you see there's the initial reverb tail, but also in the distance sort of caves back up, and that's those birds chirping. Let's hear what it sounds like on this guitar soloed. It's sort of a quiet response, so I'm going to boost the gain quite a bit. Switch between pretty easily with these user presets here. And for comparison, here's the inside of the tree. A lot warmer, a lot shorter tail. So all the links are below for the Waves IR1 reverb, the impulse responses that you can get on the website, the original video, if you wanted to check that out, inside of the hollowed out Redwood Tree. And I just wanted to say thank you to Gable for allowing me to use these tracks for her upcoming song Tangelo. Be on the lookout for that when it comes out soon. Feel free to reach out with your own impulse responses or any questions about how to get those going. I love geeking out over this stuff, so catch you on the next one.